If you're going to be in synagogue this week, we're reading the final Torah portion of the second book of the book of Exodus. And in Ashkenazic synagogues, you'll hear the following three words being recited loudly as the reader of the Torah concludes the final words of the book. They will say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strengthened, and may we be strengthened to tackle the next book as well. Simply what this means is that when we're finishing a book, we're almost wishing upon ourselves and almost promising God and His Torah that let us be strengthened, that the next book of the Torah we will pay attention to and learn with greater vigor and greater excitement than even the previous one. That's the simple approach. What's interesting, usually when we use the word chazak, which means to be strong, it's words of encouragement, we're excited. But on the other hand, when you think about it, there are certainly Torah portions that end off not on a pleasant note. Certainly the book of Genesis, for instance, even at the final book that has the passing of Moses, or when Moses is told that he won't be allowed to go into the land of Israel, not everything is on a high note. And yet we still use the words chazak, chazak, let's be strengthened. Why is that? And I think this gives us an insight about the Jewish people as a whole. And I'd like to start off with a story of Moses, when Moses asks God, when God is telling him, I'm providing for you a mission to eventually take the Jews out of Egypt. I want you to tackle Pharaoh head on. Moses says, they'll ask me, who is this God? What is his name? What am I going to tell them? And God says, Eka asher Eka. Tell them, I am or I will be that who I will be. And there's many, many approaches to understanding almost this cryptic sentence of God describing who he is. But one explanation is that God is saying, you know what my name is? I am what I will be. Because the God of the Jews is about the future, not the present. Take a look what's happening to the Jewish people presently. They're being enslaved by Egyptians and they're being afflicted. But which God is the God of the Jewish nation? The God that tells you that tomorrow can be completely different. And this is the beauty of the Jewish people. We are the creators of tikva, of hope. We understand and appreciate that throughout our history, things have been rough. And the tomorrow never looked very bright. But Hashem from the get-go said, you didn't ever believe that you'd get out of Egypt. And you did. And you went out with great wealth. And you started a great nation. And you became a nation that had all the tools necessary to become a light upon the nations. Why? Because I promised you that there can be a bright and beautiful future. So whenever we end a book of the Torah, whenever we end a chapter of history, it doesn't matter whether it finishes on a high note or, God forbid, even if it seemingly ends off with a low note. We say chazak, chazak. Why? Because we say we will tackle the next book with greater energy, because tomorrow is going to be brighter and sunnier, and we are hopeful that tomorrow is just going to be so much better. And this is the gift of God to us. It was the gift of God to the world, but actually we became the best providers and proof that that tikva, that hope, is real, it works, and it's worked for us time and time again. We are yet waiting for the greatest tikva, when tomorrow will be the brightest, with the coming of Mashiach speedily in our day. Have a great Shabbos, and let's hope that this Shabbos, a day of rest, will be a tomorrow that just never ends. A day of rest, peace, serenity for the Jewish people, with the return of our hostages and the end of war, so that we can become a nation that truly is a light upon others to fulfill our purpose and our destiny. Good Shabbos.